This is all like Hawaiian words.
No, when I'm going to tell you, this is what I do. Because see, I read a lot. I read more than I watch TV now. It's kind of weird because it used to be backward. Well, actually, before I never read before anyway. But when I first read about Australopithecus afarensis, I had to type it in Google on how to say it, and I had to say it like 50 times just to get close to saying it correctly. It's crazy because
I know. They Sasha.
They went in the spelling there. It looks like it's misspelled because it's really should be Australo. There's an I missing in it. It's not spelled correctly. But anyway, that doesn't even matter. If we look up the word, yeah, I think the word is misspelled.
Let's find that out. Australopithecus.
That's right.
No, it's right. We got it. Okay, so I've been not only misspelling it, but I've trained thousands of students to misspell it the way I misspell it.
This is one of my articles, so I wanted to make sure when you said that, I was like, hey, let me go change that now, because if I spelled it wrong, I spelled it wrong.
College professors are human, even Dr. Lessin.
No, I'm telling you.
No, you have
There's so overwhelming evidence that there's these great big skeletons all over the place way before these little guys were
right. So
we'll go into that.
Let me just 2 cents. What we found is that they were giants, but we're not talking about the 20, 30 feet tall giants or 10, 12, whatever. We have different layers of species here, and Primo covered it at a conference. Don't disappear! You're on this show. Don't go away.
Just wrap it up.
Oh, I get to say things. I know I'm a little woman, but I get to say things. I'm smart. Primo said when he dug it, he took a mountain and they went down the levels from outside. They tunneled in from outside, and when they got to the 3 billion year level, they had the super giants.
Right.
And closer to the surface, you got the smaller people. So we're studying this guy from Mud Fossil University. Google it, watch the YouTubes. There are creatures that basically there was battles in the sky with these dragons, and they crashed. And there's a dragon the entire north part of Africa, and there's a dragon the entire east coast of the United States. And then so he was watching Tellinger, and Tellinger says there were mile-high people.
Right.
So
yeah, in the book of Enoch, they say they're pretty tall.
Yeah, so
that's what that figure's from. And the book of Enoch, they say he's 1,000 so many ELs, and so did the research on the L's and how much they are, and he did the math, and it comes out Enoch by this measure, this ancient says that he's a mile high, almost a whole mile high. That's what the book says.
So how could that happen? Well, we've had atmospheric changes, and Nibiru comes through, and everything just gets topsy-turvy. I was listening to somebody, the earth change, when it shifts, it's just like the dinosaurs. The total thing can shift in one day, like whoop, and that's how you get things buried under miles of mud or tons of mud or whatever. So we have a lot to look at. So what I suggest we do research on these giants and do a series of shows on the giants, or at least one. Sasha,
they got the book of Enoch. They got the book of giants. I know. Let's see, what else is there? I can't remember. It's probably on sacredtext.com. I could probably find some more stuff on there. But yeah, there are a lot of books about it. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff on the giants. When I wrote this article, when I wrote down that it was the first species in human evolution, I wrote it because I looked up the definition of human, and then I had to look up the definition of mankind, humankind. And like for instance, human species, I type in human, and then I see relating to or characteristic of people or human beings. That's all that it says for human. That's the only characteristic. But I know that from what I understand from the anthropology side of the world, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Sasha, is that bipedalism is the distinguishing character that makes us different from other animals like apes and stuff like that. We're able to stand up on our legs and use our legs as a motor skill to move around. So bipedalism is, from what I understand, when I look up when I find out the origins of a humans, bipedalism, and I believe I'm saying that word correctly, is the idea of just being able to walk upright. From the savannah, is that correct? Like that's why I wrote, because they say that Australopithecus afarensis is the first species that may have been able to completely stand upright and use their legs as a way of moving around.
That's inaccurate, because the giants, we know from their skeletons, could do that also, and they were way before Lucy, which is
recent.
Yeah,
history.
Think rather of Bigfoot when you want to think about Homo erectus. That's the African human being that was already there. The Bigfoot is a descendant, but it's there's a big, strong guys that were there, and they're fully human being. They're from the Lyran group. Some of the people from the Lyran group are blue. They settled in the Indian subcontinent. This is a big. Think of Bigfoot. That's what Homo erectus was like.
Right. And also, one of the things that correlates is an opposing finger, the thumb.
And it's
that's part of the evolution of. So I wonder.
This is my favorite website.
There's a video with these dogs that they lost their front leg and they're walking upright now. Does that change their?
So the thing is when a Homo erectus is standing up, his hands come down by his knees. When we're standing up, our hands only come down to our thighs.
Right.
We have different proportions. They have flat feet. That's why Bigfoot can walk everywhere way faster and keep walking and keep walking and keep walking. They have flat feet, and they blump in a way that we land on our heels and go to our toes and spring off. We do this whole spring thing, which is really different. What human beings have that's real, what our species has that's really unique, is that we hunt in ways, in relays, but wolves do that too.
Yeah, because I know the Australopithecus afarensis is older than the Homo erectus, but I do know that the Homo erectus is where we get the first tools. I guess that's what they call. I think it's up here. I think it should say where tools were first used. Like I think they were called like I can't even remember exactly where they were called. I believe it's the Homo erectus.
I don't think that's accurate. I think
here we go, right here. Soon after we find evidence in the fossil record of the earliest Homo erectus fossils, by about 1.9 million years ago, we see evidence in the archaeological record for the first major innovation in stone tool technology about 1.76 million years ago. That's when they say that they think that's when stone tools were first.
So this is conventional education. What we're getting is this goes, as long as the planet's been habitable, there's been species, and there's a continual intervention from higher level extraterrestrials. So we're dealing with the Anunnaki, who came recently 450,000 years ago. We have millions, if not billions, of years of intelligent species that may have died off because of a cataclysm. They may have just left because their mission was done. Just because we don't have skeletons and ruins doesn't mean they weren't here. But the Mudfall University says is they laid down to die and they became the mountains. And so he's doing genetic samples of analysis of the mountains and things like that.
Mhm.
And there's DNA, human DNA in the rocks. And when you see a certain structure that could be skeletons, it could be muscle, it could be blood flow. So you had to think from Pellinger about this is where they look for the veins of gold, because there's metal that's in these human beings that lay down to die. And so what did Pellinger about that?
I don't want to get into that right now.
Why not? We're talking about
it's
the narrative. They have a certain narrative. That's why our education, our schools is all screwed up. So Smithsonian serves a purpose, but it's also disinformation. Because they're not doing the story. And so I was reading about Radu Cinnabar in Romania, and there's a guy called Lazar Brad, and so he had special abilities. And apparently, as soon as he was born, the doctors alerted because he had an umbilical cord that could not be cut by normal means. So they had to get like a saw and just to get this kid detached from the umbilical cord. That put on some kind of alert. And this is in Romania, and these authorities came in and they said, we're going to be watching this kid because they're looking, it's like the Dalai Lama. They know where the Dalai Lama is born, right? The next one, right? And so it's just like whoever's in control of this world knows these special children. And from birth, they start hijacking information. So he ends up being a key that opens the secret portal underneath the Sphinx in Romania. This kid, Lazar Brad, can stand there. Anybody else stands there, they're dead. Because if you don't have the right DNA when you go in this chamber and you go in front of this gate, it kills you. So they went, phew. So they got Lazar, and he went in there and he touched the gate and it opened. And then it revealed this chamber, which has these beds that are from giants, super tall humans. And when you sit on them, it tells you your DNA analysis and your closest matches. It's very. I have to do a report on that. So I wouldn't trust anything that the mainstream, whatever, the internet stuff. I take it all with a grain of salt if you want to get to the real information. But if you want to operate your life through this is fact. You can operate your life through anything. You can say, I believe in Christianity, that's fact. I believe in Buddhism, that's fact. So what is your fact? What is your I call it your programming, your initial programming, your operating system. Go ahead, Sasha. I know you want to talk. Your turn. Let Sasha talk.
Well, it's just that from the Treaty of Hatona in the Andromeda group, long before the Anunnaki ever even had left, even come to Nibiru from the Sirius sea place they came from. Way before that, there had been wars between the reptilians who had colonized Venus and set up the moon, and from the moon occupied Lemuria and spread all over the planet. And they brought lots of different kinds of dinosaurs with them. That was their beef, okay? And so the Lyrans, who had already settled Mars, and also a planet called Maldek, which the reptilians blew up. So what happened is that the Federation got together. This was all the humanoids on the same team, and they got they cleared Venus and they cleared the moon, and they landed the people called the Atlans, who were Lyrans. They landed them on Atlantis, which was a continent between. We know exactly where it was, just out in between Europe and North America there, and the Federation landed the Maldekans, who had been sheltering under the Martian surface in the Gobi Desert, and they came at the reptilians from two different directions. The reptilians went underground, and the war went on and on and on, and then finally the Andromedans called this peace treaty, and in this peace treaty, they said, let's make humanoid Earthling prototypes, and each of the areas is about several different extraterrestrials that had interests of various kinds in Earth. We'll divide it up, and you can each have the proto genetics, and you develop the rest for your particular area. 12 human groups signed up, 1 reptilian group signed up, and they chose different parts of our anatomy for the proto-human. We have a lot of other things in us too, but that's how come there was, and this is way before the Anunnaki ever came. And this kind of civilization that was going, all the traces, we thought all the traces were gone until we looked at what we were walking on. The evidence is now really great about, those, I think I showed you how there's this networks of stones, lanes all over Northeast Africa. Okay, so those things are cymatic marks of just what's underneath. When the Anunnaki came, they were going for gold veins of gold. Right. The veins of gold is where the giants died, and they were covered up by the eons and the volcanoes and all kinds of stuff. But there were veins of gold because there were veins of these dead giants. That's what they were digging. They just followed the veins. That's what a vein of gold is a vein of huge people. And they also seem to deliberately vitrify people. They could make people prisoners or something, be in a certain position and turn them to stone. But these weren't just little bitty people. These were great big people. And so now once they start thinking this way, they start finding stones that look like a heart. But and you could actually see Michael's holding a heart. And you can see all the internal organs that are in the heart. Those are turned to stone too. Somehow it isn't just the surface, but the inside stuff too. And so then when you're looking, oh my God, that's a knucklebone, that's a this, that's a that. And I'm telling you, it changes everything. What we thought was our history, when we started getting glimpses of the Anunnaki, the current Anunnaki, there was this civilization in Africa, in the southeast of Africa, that was where Enki's calendar is right on top of a cymatic of incredible amount of energy. And all those little channels, they raised food for the entire planet of giants all over. It was part of a network. It's huge. It goes on. By the time Enki's running the station down at his calendar, they're on this, it's called the Nilotic Meridian. It goes right up to 31 East. And that's, you notice, Greater Zimbabwe, that's where his lab was, is right on that line. And so is Enki's calendar, and so is is Cairo, the place where, that's the meridian where the people landing would turn, and it's everything. Now from that place, that's where they could do anything with this energy, and that's what they were experimenting with. Can we do something like heart and protect ourselves from these terrible changes that occur? And then Mount Toba went off 70,000 years ago, and Enki already said, well, I've already got all these stocked places, caverns underneath, and they go to places I'm not going to tell you about, but I'll protect my people. They don't have to die when this soot and radioactive stuff from Mount Toba comes over the continent. Anyway, that's a little aside, but everything has changed. We're only realizing how little we know, and it's not just human bones. There's bones of creatures that we didn't even know existed, with all kinds of qualities we don't know. We don't know how many heads or how many hearts or whether they laid eggs or what, or what their shape was or anything, but there's lots of humanoids, lots of them.
Do you ever see those artist renditions of giant statues guarding a harbor, like in Middle Earth, those type of things in Tolkien? Those are, they vitrified people to be these statues. And they even, like the Buddhas, the giant Buddhas, they've been examining, and there's like a real Buddha sitting inside there.
It's like, hey Atlas, would you hold this globe for us? Oh sure.
So like I apologize to the man who has Mud Fossil University. I'll find your name. But he shows this bridge where they put this guy in place. They said they did that. They said, hold this, and then they vitrified him. So he's a and they're trying to give explanations. Oh, it's 500 or 500, or 600 or whatever year so and so sculpted that. I say, no, they're doing the analysis. No, this is the blood. He lost his foot. It's bleeding. There's blood coming from where the foot was. I mean, and he takes it and analyzes. They get DNA. He goes, this is blood. This isn't rock. This is blood. So then you have to rethink it. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. So by the time you get to Homo sapiens, like the Anunnaki, and Homo and the whole crew of other human beings that keep evolving too. Everybody's evolving besides all that other stuff. Like one of the things that's happening with humans is more and more of the modern humans are connecting their axons and dendrites and pathways and activating their M genes and realizing that they are multidimensional and things that they extraterrestrials who wanted to cut us off from our pineal gland and our ability to not be bound in the dimensions the way we're bound, tried to cut it off. But it's coming, it's activating because now is the time. This is the change, the Kali Yuga, the age of Aquarius.
So what the guy from Mud Fossil said, he found by going out, he saw the structure. Says, oh, there's a dragon. So he zoomed in. So now we have, Google Earth and you can find it. He says, I find these all the time. When I zoom in, he said, I'm too old to travel. I send my team. They get the samples. We send them to the lab. We do the analysis. And so he had the dragon that goes from Florida all the way up. He goes, guess where the anus is? Washington, D.C. It's shithole. But there's cities. So think of it in terms of not just the species that are what we see because we're all about the same size. There's entire cities built on top of the angle or the spine or the mouth. So this is incredible. We have to rethink it all. I'm not, but. Yeah. So everybody has their own microcosm. You can spend your entire life in your belief system, and I guess the key is happiness. Does that serve you? Does that make you happy? Do you live a good and righteous life where you're supporting your friends and families, and making spiritual progress? As therapists, we sit there. We don't want to define somebody's reality for them. And years ago, my sister decided to be Mormon. And so she got really excited about it, and she immersed herself in the culture, and she went to the temple. And so all you can do is get behind them and, let them believe what they want to believe. Then find people that you can have these intellectual discussions with. And everybody can have their own reality, but we all live on the same planet with our own little belief systems. As long as we do no harm, hymns of do no harm. But I understand the frustration. But that is the major frustration, and that ends up in war. Is I'm right, you're wrong. I'm going to kill you, and that's why I'm Christianity. Because they start to march off to war. When I was in church school, right, and I went to a thing called Crusaders. And the kids put on their own sermon, and we picked out a song. But every week, because it was Crusaders, they like to sing "Onward, Christian Soldiers." I mean, at first you just sang it, it's like everybody's singing. We're just singing the song, and then it's like, what? Onward, marching off to war, and I went, wait. So I quit. I said, I'm not doing this. You're talking about killing people over a belief, and that's why and everybody. You're Christian, you believe it, fine. But I cannot do a religion or a belief that ends up with people dead. It's kind of like litmus. Is this going to end up killing somebody? I cannot support that belief. Sasha, you want to say something?
I find when people have conflicting beliefs, explanations for things, they're all partially right.
Right.
You said that before. You
Yeah.
actually said that before.
Yeah, and that's the most, and seeing the contradictions or what you deny is a key to getting a broader picture, like the guys that are looking at the Earth from further and further apart. So what you see in the structure of people having these arguments is thought control versus freedom of thought. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Right.
And
What do you mean by thought control?
well, you get fired if you don't say you get fired if you don't say evolution's the cause of everything, and everything that happened on the planet is because we humans are so clever and invented it. That's nonsense.
There's a lot of evidence that says that. Yeah, you're right. People will lose their jobs if they don't go through the if they don't say what's supposed to be said, I guess. Follow the line.
And like my chairman was one of the smartest guys around, but what he figured out is how human beings could go all the way from hunter-gatherer wanderers to create the civilizations they did in a logical progression that you could see. Oh yeah, it would work if you needed more people and you were sharing water systems, and he worked it out. And, oh yeah, well that's logical. That's logical. So what I go by is parsimony. What or Occam's razor. What is the simplest way to incorporate everything we know, including the things that seem to be not fit in with the facts? If you can then include these extra things, that means you've got a more comprehensive system. And if you can account for the supposed anomalies, then you're getting a bigger picture on the system. Now, if you really understand the way the physical universe works, everything is in balance. So whatever's going down, there's also the opposite that's going down, and so that's what that's all you've got to look for, and then you understand the whole system, and the whole system is something that generates more and more subsystems. And what I'm going to try to show, if we ever get you to these slides today, is that the system which has been imposed upon us is called dominator consciousness. And it forces people, like in an academic hierarchy, to toe the line. You want to get promoted, you got to sell the head of the department's textbook, because that's his textbook. And if you assign some other book, yeah, you can do that. We just won't renew your contract or give you tenure. And
it's all multi-level marketing. You have to support the pyramid, and so if you're in an academic system and you don't support, the other professors and what the narrative that they're presenting, be it a business or religion or the political structure, you get blackballed, and you become an outcast. So in order to meet our needs and have food, water, shelter, basic needs, we compromise ourselves. And we go, okay, well, I'll go there and I'll believe that, because at the end of the rainbow, I get, a castle or a mansion or a sports bar.
Well, if we look at the slides, we'll see how this can be, how people who, for example, know very well that this Patriot Act had been arranged in advance, and what the real circumstances of the Kennedy assassination and so forth were. But they keep their mouth shut because you can't be a congressperson if you talk about some certain things, blah blah blah.
Okay, so I'm gonna take this share screen, okay, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, yes, and this is yours. Slideshow from beginning.
Let's see the notes then.
Huh?
We make it to the notes.
I have to get to it, and then I'll make notes.
It closed out.
See, when it came here, it turned white and black, so we'll have to fix this. Anyway, this isn't how he made it, but
no, it's not. He won't be.
Yeah, so we can fix it and come back. But that was part of the transfer, and I pulled it up. It's like, oh, that's not how it looks. So, okay, we'll save this for next week. Then it'll be a great show. So